Yes, indeed. Stream should be popping up everywhere. Oh, there it is. I know we're live everywhere now, and I can do what we do, which is say hello, everybody. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm the police officer from Toronto Police, sometimes referred to as the TikTok traffic cop, depending on who you're speaking with. And I am here to answer your traffic and police questions. No matter how unpopular your question is, I will do my best to get you an answer. We go live Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 Eastern time. And if you're lucky enough to join in, we ask that you stick around for as long as you can, or longer than you can. Just don't get in trouble at school. I've had some people say, I got to go to class. I got to go. We are here for everybody. There is no silly question. There is no topic that we. Well, is there no topic? I've talked about donuts before. I've talked about lunch. There's no really off topic or off. What is it? Off. There's really nothing we don't talk about. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And if you don't have anything to talk about, I've got lots of things that I like to talk about. Yesterday, we spoke about electric vehicles in great detail. Today, that video or that topic made it into the Toronto Star, made it into CTV, iHeartRadio reposted it because it's interesting stuff to talk about. It's important. There's a lot of people who don't understand the rules, don't understand the laws. Some don't care about the laws, but most of them just don't know. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to know the rules so you're not caught breaking them when it is something you didn't intend to break. You know what I mean? See, if you speed, and you know what speeding is because you're a licensed driver, then you choose to speed, and I have no qualms about giving you a ticket for it. But there's some people who buy things that really think they're doing the right thing. And then they find out what they were doing was wrong, and they get hit with some hefty fines. And I want to prevent you from getting that situation. I want to prevent you from getting the not so nice feeling of getting big fines if we can avoid it. Now, that obviously means that the information that you get, you must act on, because if you still do the same thing as you did yesterday, whilst knowing information, actually, regardless, you ought to have known, regardless if you did know. Just a quick hello. JD is in the house, and he is the moderator slash producer who's taking your TikTok questions and bringing them over to the other side of the house where I can actually put them on screen. We have what do we have? We have multiple platforms being represented here. We have TikTok, of course, but YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can watch on Twitter. Everybody on the other platforms can actually talk to us. Twitter, you can't. So if you're on Twitter and you want to ask questions, please jump over onto one of the other platforms. You can use the scan code over there. That'll take you to my link tree, which means you can then choose whatever you want to use to watch us. But Twitter, you can watch, but you can't talk. You are silenced, which is really unfortunate. Back when it was Periscope, it worked beautifully, and not so much anymore. Like since it became Twitter Live, don't know why that changed. So yes, what do we want to start things off with? Let's start off with Vision Zero Enforcement Team. The Vision Zero Enforcement Team today are spending their time in 12 and 33 divisions. What does that mean? Well, it means that they are focused on traffic safety in Weston, Mount Dennis, Rockcliffe, Smythe, Parkwoods, Donalda, Bayview Village, and York Mills. Those are just some of the many neighborhoods within those divisional boundaries. And there were real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. If it was your neighborhood, you'd want us there making it safe. And someone asked me why we actually post them. Why do we post where we're doing heightened enforcement? Well, we want to let the people who live there know that we're taking care of them, that we're there in their neighborhoods so they can feel good about the fact that we are concentrating on their areas. That's not to say that no enforcement takes place if we're not there. The Vision Zero Enforcement Team is a dedicated group of officers who focus on nothing but enforcement of the HTA. They look for people who are speeding, aggressively driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. That's it. Now, that's not to say they're going to ignore other things. They're going to handle whatever they see. But their goal is to deal with the stuff that leads to serious injury and death on our roads, because we see too many people die as a result of collisions. Doesn't matter if it's a car, a motorcycle, a bicycle, however people are behaving that are getting other people hurt, it's a problem. And they're out there to be part of the solution. Now, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and I hope that you can stick around. If you are watching actually, regardless of where you're watching, if you're watching, please follow us. Please share the live. We want to get as many people information about what's going on in regards to, traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. That's it. We don't get paid extra for having more people on our live. We do it because if we can help one person, we're doing the right thing. If we can help one person be safer, it's worth it. Now, it happens to be that we speak to thousands of people a day, so that's just a bonus. but it is the goal to help. If you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, please tap the screen. It shows that you like the live. We really appreciate it, and like I said, makes us look good. Okay. Who do we got here? What do we got? Cameron Huffman wants to know some stuff. Michael H. Reminding me about the Harley raffle. We'll talk about that in just a few. Alex, good morning. Kayla, greetings and salutations to you. We have some questions coming in. Leo wife, my wife is watching. Hello. I was going to say something. I realized it would just embarrass you, so I'm just going to move along. I did see the bunny rabbits, though. Bunny rabbits in the backyard. My wife sent me a video of bunny rabbits in the backyard. We have lots of rabbits in our neighborhood. I don't know why that works. I guess they multiply. We have, just to acknowledge a few folks, TikToker, who right off the bat wants to know what my favorite donut is. We'll talk about that in just a second. I told you, nothing's off limits. Amanda, hello. Oh, okay. Not at work, so it can be cool. Amanda, thanks for jumping in. Okay, we got that. Just looking for some. Tracy, good morning. Cody, good morning. Master Technician, good morning. You're at Jane and Finch. You're in the neighborhood. Right on. Master Technician is usually in Peterborough, but now he's in the GTA, in the city of Toronto in particular. Tampa Bay and 5. Christopher letting us know. Is this? Are you in Tampa, or are you just? Is it the team you're rooting for? Okay. Talk about motorcycles. We're just looking for some highlights here. I know that JD's in the chat, but I wanted to see what is up. And Vern has a question that I think. Oh, and there we go. Okay, JD's already got it. Well, let's start at the top, since there is a top. And the top says, is it possible to accelerate to the speed limit? That's how it works. Do you mean rapidly? Like, because accelerating to the speed limit is how everybody does it, generally. So if you mean, can you hammer down and go screaming from a launch mode to your speed limit and then stop accelerating? Well, there's some problems with that. You see, you should be driving in a way that others can anticipate what you're going to do. If people are guessing and diving out of the way, that's a problem. That's unsafe driving, whether it's dangerous driving criminally or careless driving or stunt driving. It depends on what the officer is making observations. Obviously, nobody wants you to hammer down and accelerate rapidly, because people, again, are anticipating what you are going to do, because there's normal behavior. I don't mean normal like what's normal today, but you have to be doing things so people can make decisions for their safety. And when you do things that are completely uncharacteristic, it's unsafe. So if you meant what I think you meant, then the answer is no, you can't do that. You could be ending up in a world of hurt. I'll flag this reminder about the Harley Davidson draw, but I will quickly, okay, fine, I'll put it on screen. HarleyRaffle.ca. I'll bring up the website in a little bit, but HarleyRaffle.ca is selling tickets, and we're helping out by promoting it. But it goes to support Special Olympics Ontario, and that is a great group of people who are doing fantastic things with different Olympians. You can find out more by going to HarleyRaffle.ca. Get your chances to win a brand new 2022 Harley Davidson. Now, it's one ticket for $20. It is 3 for $50 and 8 for $100. Obviously, 8 for $100, best deal. I would go that. We already said hello to Alex and Akela, but I'll jump right into Ray's question. Does driver need insurance or the vehicle if someone comes from a different country and drives? This is a very interesting question, and it depends, sort of, kind of. It's not about the insurance. The insurance is on a vehicle in Ontario, and every province may have different rules, but in Ontario, the vehicle is insured, not the driver, which means if you have a licensed driver who does not have their own insurance policy, you can lend them your vehicle as long as your insurance company will honor it. What do I mean by that? I mean that your insurance policy may not cover anyone under the age of 25. If the person you're loaning it to is under 25, you may have a problem. If they don't acknowledge the license in the country, so if they're from a country that doesn't acknowledge a foreign license, it's a problem. But if they're coming from a country that does acknowledge the license, a foreign license is valid while visiting. However, if they become a resident or it's a long-term situation where they're staying over a certain period of time, their license may not be valid. So you need to know. You know how you can find out more? You can go to trafficop.ca, which is a link to my link tree, where you can scan the code in the top right, left-hand corner of the screen. And up there, right there, top right-hand corner of the screen. If you scan that, it'll take you to my link tree, and you can go to the very bottom where there's some useful links. One of them is knowing all the rules about driving in Ontario if you're coming in from another province or from another country. And let me scroll back to the top because I have questions to answer that are here. Can you get a ticket for tires sticking out? So if you mean oversized tires, yes. If tires are not being covered by a fender or combination of mud flap, yes, oversized tires are illegal. You can't have tread exposed. That's not permitted. And charges can be laid. Depending on just how big and how crazy those tires are, you may find more tickets coming your way. But at very least, they must be covered by fender or fender flare, which I guess is just an extension of the fender. Fantastic. Thank you for asking this, Donnie. What are the rules about e-bike that looks like a ninja motorcycle? I was just talking about these this morning. We talked about it briefly yesterday because we did like an EV centric, and maybe we'll just continue the conversation and really focus on electric vehicles today. But the deal is that the e-bikes that I think they're Emo, there's a couple different brands that make them. If they look like a motorcycle, they're still an e-bike, as long as they meet the criteria set out by the Ministry of Transportation. So one of them is it has to be capable or not capable of exceeding 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface under power. It has to have pedals attached. They have to be functional. There's a bunch of things. It can't be more than 120 kilos in weight, which might be an issue for these, and it can't have more than a 500 watt motor. And sadly, a lot of these are vehicles that are capable of going far, far faster. In fact, some of those are capable of going 80 kilometers an hour with simple modifications. So if you modify it, even if you bought it legal and you did the disconnection and reconnection of switches and cables and wires and things, you've just made that a motor vehicle. It becomes a motorcycle, and it is required to be licensed and plated and insured just like any other motorcycle. And people say, well, how can that be? It's a bicycle. No, it's only considered a bicycle if it meets the criteria set forth by the ministry. And if you mess around with that, it's no longer covered. Hello. Sergeant Campbell is joining. We were just talking about e-bikes. Ninja motorcycle e-bikes of all things. We were just
Ninja motorcycles.
Yes, Ninja motorcycles. We were just talking about those. And I was just saying that it has to meet the criteria set forth by the ministry in order to, let me give you your microphone. In order to be considered something other than a motor vehicle. Because it's a motor vehicle, but they deem it to be not a motor vehicle if it meets the criteria. But it has to meet the criteria.
Right. So it's a motor vehicle except for the exemptions.
Right.
And if it doesn't meet the exemptions, it's a motor vehicle.
Yes. And it's important to know that you put yourself into a significant amount of hot water if you're driving something that you thought was an e-bike, that you've modified. It is no longer getting the benefits of that e-bike status. It's now going to be something that would require insurance. Well, driving a motor vehicle with no insurance in Ontario has a $5,000 to $25,000 fine range, has up to 6 months in jail, and that's on a first conviction. Suddenly now you're looking at things like using your cell phone. That's now an offense that is appropriate to lay for someone driving a motor vehicle that you wouldn't be eligible for while driving something that has the benefit of being an e-bike. So you put yourself in jeopardy, not to mention the fact that you could really hurt yourself because those vehicles are not designed or don't meet the safety requirements of a motor vehicle, even though they are motor vehicles. Yeah.
Well said.
Well, thank you very much. I try. On occasion, I say things correctly. Correctly. We talked about tires already. Jacob says hello. Sword. Okay, what is this? We're on motorcycle. We're on a motorcycle bender. And by the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And next to me is Sergeant Murray Campbell, who also talks about police stuff and traffic safety and traffic law, and also towing stuff.
Yep, absolutely. And we both ride motorcycles.
Yes. But you also have things that you ride that I don't ride. Like you have ski-doos or snowbody-doo things and boats. Yep. And you know a lot of stuff about vehicles.
Boats and jet skis and ATVs and snowmobiles.
And stuff. You have lots of stuff.
I got stuff.
He's a stuff guy. So if you have questions about that kind of stuff that I don't normally have the ability to answer, Sergeant Campbell does.
And a lot of that stuff we don't actually enforce, or we as traffic don't enforce. Say jet skis or stuff like that. Toronto Police does because of our marine unit that's out on Lake Ontario and the rivers around and reservoirs around. But you know what? Because I'm an owner, I want to know everything that there is to know about the vehicle that I'm operating, so I do the research on it.
You're an interested party.
That's kind of the reason I know an awful lot about things like that.
Yeah, well, you got to know stuff before you go. We talk about knowing before you go all the time, and that's one of the things we try and do is prepare you so you have answers to the questions, so you can make educated decisions before you hit the road. So here we go back to the question of rules on lane filtering on motorcycles. So it is not something where the law specifically states thou shall not or cannot, but the behavior falls into the category of potentially careless driving. Could be stunt driving, could be dangerous driving. So it's clearly not legal because obviously you're supposed to have one vehicle in each lane and you're not supposed to drive between vehicles. One of the triggers for stunt driving is driving too close to another vehicle, making it like that's something.
Or a marked departure from the flow of traffic.
Absolutely. So if everyone's doing 5 and you're doing 50, that's obviously a marked departure from the flow of traffic, and that's stunt driving. But it's careless. If you're doing Mach 4, you could be doing dangerous, which is criminal. So there's a high risk potential. We have people who are on their phones. Can you believe people use their phones when they drive? Not stunt driving, but they're rumors. And those vehicles sometimes don't track well in their lane. And if you're traveling well beyond the flow of traffic and that person zigs when they should have zagged, and now you're in a collision, you're both looking at charges. And these things happen. So no, lane filtering not legal, and that's lane splitting. I went on quite long. That's actually lane splitting. Lane filtering is generally when you slowly creep through stop traffic and change your rider position to the front of the pack. That's also not legal. You're not supposed to travel, and nobody is. Like cyclists shouldn't. Nobody should be traveling in between other vehicles. But I do have one thing that someone made a point of bringing up, and I think it's legitimate or at least reasonable, and that is where you're the motorcycle and you're the last vehicle in a pack of traffic. I personally don't have an issue with someone who pulls in between two stopped vehicles just for the purposes of not being the rear bumper for that entire pack of traffic should someone slam into you. I don't have a problem with that. Is it legal? Not in particular, but is it reasonable? You're not driving through past multiple vehicles. You're just snuggling in.
Yeah, you're not passing people.
Yeah.
You're just positioning yourself to a safer position. To use everybody else's bumper as a stopper for you.
Yeah, because motorcycles don't make good stopping or bumpers.
No. And
danger.
Whether you're right or wrong on a motorcycle, you usually lose.
Yes.
So,
are police officers above traffic laws? I've seen a few officers having full-blown conversations. You make a very good question, Vern. In Ontario, and I can't speak for other provinces or states, police officers do have exemptions for certain things. For instance, speed. We're allowed to exceed the posted speed limit in the lawful execution of our duty. So what is that? Going to a call. Lights or sirens, irrelevant. Patrolling for the purposes of Highway Traffic Act enforcement, perfectly legitimate. Responding to anything that we're doing lawfully, not going for pizza or coffee. We're talking about doing our work. And in those scenarios, we are permitted to exceed the speed limit. We're also exempt from using or the restrictions about using cell phones, computers, two-way radios. We're allowed to do that because police communication is a priority. We're talking about traffic safety, or at least public safety and officer safety. So there are times when we have to communicate.
Yeah, so police, fire, and ambulance, emergency services are allowed to. But that being said, there is an increased risk when doing it.
Yes.
And we are responsible for all that increased risk should something happen.
And there's also an exemption for people who are calling 911 for an emergency. And I posted a video about that very topic a few days ago, and people said, well, what if they get into a collision? Well, just like we're responsible for everything that happens while we're driving, so are you. You don't get to drive into people because you're using your cell phone. You're allowed to make reasonable efforts to respond to an emergency call, to call for help. People say, well, you should be able to pull over first. There should be no exemption. I disagree. What if you're being followed? What if there's an assault? What if there's an impaired driver? Pulling over may not be an option. May not. Ideally, it is, but it may not be. And that's why there's an exemption. But we're not asking you to make long distance phone calls and put yourself in danger. If you cannot safely drive your vehicle while using a cell phone, Don't. And hopefully you have a hands-free, but the idea is that it doesn't make you responsible for a charge while you're doing the right thing. That's the whole point. Okay. Tiny hands says, are there laws against electric unicycles? Oh, yes. Well, here's the thing. There's no laws permitting them. So what are they? Electric unicycles, they're motor vehicles. They're capable of doing 70 miles per hour in some cases. I've seen videos of these things outpacing trains in Europe, like amazing. And I'm a huge fan of the videos watching them do what they're doing. I do not want to see them on the road because they're dangerous. They don't have brakes. They don't have steering. They're a unicycle. Even people say, well, how do you slow down if there's no brakes? Well, you have to lean back. The amount of time it takes to lean back and slow down, you've already hit the car. And I've seen some fantastic, horrific and fantastic videos of people getting hit by cars on these things. And it's not fun.
Sean, I absolutely love them. I think they're a fantastic use of technology. They're just not permitted at this point right now. Maybe things will change, but at this point right now, they're not allowed on the road. You know what? If you want to do it off-road,
by all means.
I think if anybody has one, I'd love to try one.
I want nothing to do with it. I will be
with a helmet on, I think.
Well, I will say this, that operators of these devices tend to be fully decked out in armor, like armor. And I, for good reason, because there's
nothing around you.
There's no protection.
You're just kind of flying through the air, standing on a little piece of machinery.
And for anyone who's wondering what we're talking about, I have a picture right here. And it was a picture here. This is a picture. Someone on a one wheel. Yeah, there we go. Come on, focus. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, they are cool. And then for the folks on Instagram, they're cool looking. They're neat. They're basically Segways with one wheel, and Segways aren't legal either. Hoverboards aren't legal. One wheels aren't, but they are cool. They just can't be used on our roads or sidewalks or trails or anywhere. They're motor vehicles that require license, ownership, and insurance. If they were to be permitted, they would qualify and require all these things. So you're looking at serious consequences if you break the law. And oddly enough, there's one guy in Toronto who runs through the city taking content videos with a 360 camera. He blocked me so I can't see his videos because technically he's creating evidence against him. You know, there's a whole bunch of violations that they're racking up. On their own TikTok channel. In any case, not legal, very cool, not legal. What's the difference on the G2 test and the G-Road test? That is something I actually don't know because my G test didn't look like the G2 to G test. Do you know what the G2 test looks like?
So I know that there was a specific amount of time, a specified amount of time where the G test was brought down to a G2 road test level.
Equivalent.
And that was to expedite the process.
I think they're still doing that.
Okay. One is longer. One includes traveling on the highway and a few other things that they were trying to catch up on the backlog from COVID. And they brought the criteria down. I believe it was at the end of the year. We pushed my daughter to get it done before the end of last year so that she'd have her full license before it expired. I believe that's when it was. I'm not positive, though.
I know that they made a 30% reduction in time. And it's all about getting people through the backlog. I don't know why they haven't changed it back, but I recently saw a TikTok from a friend of ours who's a driving instructor saying that there was still an extension. And I think it's to the end of this month, and they may extend it again, but we'll see. There was a follow-up question about cell phones and police, and the question is, what do you do when you see a police officer on the phone having a conversation while driving? Well, they're legally permitted to do it, so nothing. If you think it's inappropriate, you're welcome to call and complain because that's what you have the right to do. If you think a police officer is doing something inappropriate, you can complain. It'll be investigated, and they're legally permitted to, so I don't imagine it'll go very far. But you have those options if you think that something inappropriate is being done.
They're allowed to use it, but they're not allowed to use it and drive dangerously.
Well, driving dangerously is another thing, yeah. And we do prefer if police officers pull over because safety is the priority, but there's times when they cannot. Like if I'm going to a domestic call or a call that is, I don't know what the right call action is because I'm picking things out of the air. But they're going to a call. It's a priority. It's a collision, but we're getting vital information that can't be shared over the radio, for example. Radio is a shared band. Everyone hears it. Sometimes there's privacy concerns. Anyway, things to think about. Chris wants to know what the maximum window tint percentage is. And the maximum window tint percentage, there's two sides of this coin. One of them is for safety standards, and the light truck and passenger vehicle standards, inspection standards, say that 30% light blockage is the maximum permitted, and nothing can be on the front windshield. Although if your vehicle was 2016 or older, you're allowed to have a 3-inch tint strip across the top. Otherwise, no tint on the front windshield, and the windows behind are perfectly legitimate to be dark. You can paint them opaque. They don't have to be they don't have to be clear, as long as you have functioning mirrors that give a clear view to the rear of the vehicle. So when we're talking about the tint, it's really the left and right, the windows left and right of the driver that are the condition. Now, if it's over 30%, that vehicle's unsafe for the road. It wouldn't be roadworthy. So you could lose your license plates and have them seized. And you have to get towed home, type thing. Or in some cases, we see people peeling them off at the roadside to prevent being towed if the officer is willing to do that. Now, when we talk about the other side of the coin, that is that you cannot obscure the interior of your motor vehicle with color or reflective coating. So if you have something that, and I was walking by cars like this yesterday, went to grab some food across the street. It was so dark that I couldn't see the interior of the vehicle. Now, it may very well have been over 30%, but just looking at it, it was too dark. So there are charges for that as well.
So even if it is lawful to get license plates and get your vehicle certified at 30%, like blockage, it still may be an offense, given the outside criteria, the atmospheric conditions, where it blocks enough light that we can't see in. We can't see the person that's operating it. We can't identify them. We can't see an age or gender. Can't see the seatbelt. Can't see if you're using your cell phone. If any one of those things happen, then you're eligible for a ticket.
Absolutely. Atmospheric conditions. It's too dark. It's overcast. It is, or it's reflective. You know, it could be the right amount of light coming through, but the reflective properties prevent us from seeing inside. Whatever the case is, it's a problem. Okay, if two cars arrive at a four-way stop across from each other at the same time, who has the right of way to proceed first, or can they proceed at the same time? So I love what Scott Marshall says. Scott Marshall is a driving instructor. He's actually the guy who teaches people to be driving instructors. He has a blog. He has a TikTok. He does all sorts of things. And the deal is this. Yes, technically people who arrive at the same time sort of messes up the first to arrive, first to drive scenario. Well, his suggestion is that right of way is something that you give, not take. Because if you both go at the same time, assuming you're both right, and you end up in a collision, you have a problem. But if you give the other person right of way for the extra 30 seconds or 20 seconds or whatever it may be, you can guarantee that they're going in the direction that they intend to, as opposed to maybe not signaling and then meeting in the middle. Bad things happen when we make assumptions. So you're best off to wait.
I agree. If they're across from each other and they're both continuing to go straight across from each other, then there'd be no interference and both could probably proceed at the same time.
For sure.
The person that is making a left turn and crossing a traveled lane of traffic at all times is at a higher responsibility to do so when it's safe. If you're making a left turn at a stop sign, you have to wait for the next person to go through, or your turn to go through, because the obligation is on you to make that turn safely, because you're crossing a traveled lane of traffic.
Yes, those who are turning are always more responsible. Will I get arrested if they find a bong in my car but no weed? If there's no residue, there's no actual drugs in the car, it's a brand new bong. I don't.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's just a thing. If there is weed or any other kind of drug or substance in there that's controlled, it could be an issue. Certainly if it's within reach of the driver. So it depends. If you're transporting something like that, I'd say put it in the trunk if you can. But just having it isn't against the law. But having open marijuana or in the vehicle is a problem. Okay. Let me see here. I want to look for stuff. If you're watching and you've got questions about, well, if you're watching, you're hearing this message. So if you have questions about traffic safety, traffic law, police stuff, if you're looking to become a police officer, we've got lots of great information for you. If you have questions specifically about the hiring process, the best source of information is going to be at www.tps.ca/careers. We have operators standing by. Okay, not really, but we have recruiters who are happy to help you with your queries. Not only do we have positions for police officers and parking enforcement officers and special constables, we also have civilian roles, and there's a whole bunch of them listed. So if you're in IT or in legal or you're an administrator, there's tons of different options, and they change all the time. They are posted, they go up for a few weeks, they close it, they fill the positions, they may repost for new positions. Things to know. Okay, we have master technician. I don't know what he's talking about, though. Okay, we'll come back to this because it looks like they're having a conversation in the chat. It's lengthy. All right. Can I tow a car? What is this? It's a good towing question with a person who knows about towing stuff. Can I tow a car if the car I'm towing doesn't have insurance?
Towing a car or towing a car on a trailer?
So, yeah, I don't know how one tows a car. I don't know, literally, how someone tows a car if it's not on a trailer of some kind.
So you can tow a trailer or tow a car 4 wheels down, flat on the surface. It has to have a solid tow bar.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's that big T or
diamond,
triangle.
It has to be solidly connected, so to the trailer hitch or to the tow apparatus. And it has to have a secondary means of attachment as well. So safety chains along with it. Yes, you can tow a vehicle that is not registered and not insured, as long as the towing vehicle is registered and insured. And your insurance does cover towable objects, including trailers. So yes, you can. Not a problem. You see, for an example, motorhomes.
Mm-hmm.
Motorhomes heading down south will bring a car with them.
But if it has no insurance?
You can tow it without any insurance.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be...
It's not being operated. It gets covered it becomes a trailer at that point. It's covered by the towing policy or the insurance policy of the vehicle it's driving.
That's correct.
Okay.
There's liability coverage, but there's nothing else on it.
Okay, good to know. A couple of questions. Questions are popping in. First of all, are you broadcasting from 9 Hannah Avenue? The answer is yes. We are at Traffic Services, which is at 9 Hannah in Liberty Village. Yes. We are hiding in the depths of the building, but we are in the building. And this is where all the magic happens. It's basically HQ for traffic. And here's a question from Caleb, who wants to know, if I'm insured occasionally, am I able to drive any vehicle with owner's consent and be insured? So this is really an insurance question that insurance people should talk about, because it depends on the policy that you hold. They may limit you to being insured on one vehicle or any vehicle in the fleet of your family's vehicles, for instance. But generally speaking, a licensed driver can drive any vehicle that is insured, because it's not, you don't get insurance for you to drive a vehicle. You get insurance coverage on the vehicles that are insured, right? You pay extra so that you can drive the cars that are insured. So if you live with the vehicle owners, G2 or G drivers are supposed to be listed as occasional drivers. If you're borrowing a friend's car and it is insured, you don't have to be on any policy. You can just borrow it, as long as their policy doesn't have an exclusion for people under a certain age. And that becomes more of a situation between the insurance company and the customer, as opposed to the police. Because for police, we pull you over, you're a licensed driver, it's valid, good, the insurance is there, good, on your way. It's not really our thing, but it could become your thing in the event that you're in a collision.
And it might not even be your fault.
Right.
And the vehicle owner may not get the vehicle repaired because of something that happened, and you're not covered.
It's not a good place to be.
No.
People don't like insurance, but when you need it, it is really good to have. So here's a question from Billy Wang. I have a question. If a 10-year-old, if you ride your bike on the road without a helmet, would you get a ticket or something else? So anyone under the age of 18 is required to wear a helmet. Now, if you're 16 or 17, you can get the ticket. If you're under 16, you might have to be a notification to parent. But under 12, you're going to have to, it's the parent that would be charged.
Right. So under 12, nobody can be charged. That's both for the criminal code and for the Provincial Offences Act. But your parents can get a charge.
Because they're responsible for you.
Between 12 and 16, you can be charged, but your parents will get a notice of it and will have to be notified before you attend court.
And there you go. But regardless of your age, protect your computer. You should always be wearing a helmet, regardless if it's a legal requirement or not. Because we've seen situations where people who are not actually moving, just standing up on a bicycle, have fallen over and had tremendous brain damage as a result of the impact. We should all be wearing helmets right now.
I'm not saying that. Actually, I am going to say something. That is the one thing that I truly believe on. When you're operating any vehicle, wear the safety equipment that is provided for you, and wear good safety equipment. There's helmets come in different levels, and there's the minimum required. And you may see some of them; they're fairly cheap. You can buy them at at some stores that are. I've seen some as low as $40 for.
Is that where you buy them
helmet.
and they take the peel and stick decals and put DOT on because they just bought it? Yeah, not real helmets, just fashion helmets.
You know what? But they actually may meet the criteria of it. But really, are they going to protect your head? I can live without a leg. I can live without an arm, and I can function. If you scramble your noodle, you're a vegetable. There's
no offense to
point.
vegetables.
Yeah. No, it's the one thing you need to totally protect.
No, 100%. And I was in a motor vehicle collision. I was in a motorcycle collision in particular. I went flying through the air. They told me I was going to lose a leg. I didn't bat an eye. I said, I don't care. I'm just happy to be alive. And if I wasn't aware of my surroundings, if I had a brain injury, my life would be far different than it is. I'm still dealing with injuries and long-term pain issues, but I can walk and talk and chew gum and do all the things that I did before. I think.
I was going to say, not well.
Not well.
I've seen you walk and talk at the same time.
Do all police departments work a 12-hour shift in Ontario? No. We have, even within our service, we have 12-hour, 11-hour, 8-hour, 10-hour. We have all sorts of, I don't even know how many shifts patterns we have. So it depends on what you're doing, what you're working. Each service has their own stuff.
Yep. And it could be different within your service as well. I work an 8-hour shift, but I work 5 days a week. The guys on the road here work an 11-hour shift and they work 7 days.
But then they have a whole bunch of days off. They have 7 days off. So it depends. Can parking officer get a ticket by watching their phone when they did a driving? I saw an officer did that. They have devices that they use for issuing tickets. I don't know if they get dispatched on those. I don't know enough about parking to be able to say what equipment they're using. They do have an exemption while they're in a police vehicle for the communication stuff, though. It covers any police vehicle, including parking. But again, if you think they're doing something wrong, if they're watching a movie, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that is a problem. So they don't. The exemption is for necessary communications, not for ordering pizza, watching the Netflix missed episodes and so on. Okay.
I got a question for you, Sean.
What's that?
What has more letters than the alphabet?
A post office.
Yes, it does. Good for you.
I had to think about that. Okay. What would do? Alex is looking to get into cybersecurity. Is there cybersecurity stuff posted? You should go check it out. Okay, scrolling back. Every time new posts come in, things get all out of sync. If you're new to the channel, please follow us. Not because we need to hit 1 million followers. No, we don't need to hit 1 million followers. We you know what? The more folks who follow, the more people who share, the more chances people will see good information that they can then help to be safer on the road.
Just go up 2 there, Sean.
This one?
Yep.
Okay. If I have an M2 and I lose track of time, can I still drive directly home at night?
So if you have an M1, absolutely not.
And M2
doesn't have a restriction on it.
Yeah, so M1 says you can drive a half an hour before sunup and a half an hour after sundown. So basically, if you get caught out, you're still able to get home as long as it's within reason, the half an hour. But you can have no passengers. You cannot drive on roads that have a speed limit over 80 kilometers an hour. So those are major highways, expressways. There are some that are exemptions, and they're listed on the website where you're living in a community where you can't go anywhere else. That's the only road in or out, and they've exempted those for travel speed, but otherwise, and 0 blood alcohol content. But that's about it.
Yeah. So your M2, yeah, you're good.
You are a conditional driver. You're a probationary licensed driver. This means you can drive any time of the day or night, and you can carry passengers, and you have to maintain that 0 blood alcohol content. Hoverboards do not exist because I only see them with wheels, not hovering.
No, I saw it on in the movies.
Well, that was
future,
and that was possibly it's one of my favorite movies. And I have seen some they've tried to recreate that hoverboard, and they've created electrified panels, and they've got an electromagnetic system that allows you to hover. And I'm sure someone's going to kill themselves on it, but it looks cool. I'm waiting for the ability to fly. I just want to be able to fly.
I'd love to as well.
Yeah, I've not jumped out of an airplane because why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? But I'm actually too heavy for the maximum. You have to be under 250 pounds.
I'm afraid of heights,
That-
but I still would love to fly.
Flying cool. Actually, there's a couple. We have a police officer. We have a couple of police officers. I'm sure we have many police officers who are pilots, but one of them is created a program to take kids and teach them to fly in conjunction with the Toronto Police Service, and I think it's awesome. And he's offered to take me up on the plane. So, and then we have an officer right here, somebody that we both know, who's a pilot, and has offered to take us up on the plane. I just want to fly and look at everything really small. It's different in a small plane. Have you ever been in a small plane?
I have. Yep.
They're cool.
And because you're over 250 pounds, maybe I'll go after you go.
If the plane still functions. Yeah. Let's see here. We have, can I get hired as a TPS officer without any experience?
Sure.
That's exactly how we hire most people. Yeah. You get trained once you're hired. You get paid to get trained. There are costs involved with becoming a police officer. You have to pay for your own police college, which I understand is over $12,000, $13,000 now. I'm not sure the exact amount, but it is not cheap. There is an investment. Unfortunately, the police credit bureau, what was it called? Credit union. They guarantee you a loan, so you can cover those things even if you don't have the money for the school. But it is a great opportunity. Without experience is probably better, because then we teach you everything you need to know. You don't come in thinking you know stuff.
Yep.
Some people think they know stuff. Like I came in as a court officer. You came in as a court officer. I'm sure we thought we knew some stuff, and we had to relearn things. What is this? Oh, a whole bunch of stuff. Law on gas/nitro radio controlled cars on public spaces. Gas versus nitro versus electric. I don't know if anything changes for power source. It's probably noise bylaws. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, we're just talking public spaces, so I'm not really sure.
Neither am I.
Roadways?
No. I'm going to say no on roadways. I remember, I'll never forget, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to be into RC cars. And
so if you'll never forget, that means you'll always remember?
I hope so. Unless I had a head injury, it's a problem. It's a problem. But the deal is that I was really big since I am really big now. I was really big into RC cars, and I got one at before I was 13. I saved up all my milk money and milk. Is it milk money? Mail money? I don't know. I don't know where that term comes from. But anyway, I saved up my money. I bought a radio controlled car. I bought a whole bunch of them. At one point, I was building them for other people. And I went to a hobby store in Florida, and a guy told me a story about a 1/6 scale radio controlled, big radio controlled car. And they were testing it on the road, and the radio signal cut out. They could no longer control. And this gas powered giant car drove into the side door of a Rolls Royce that was parked down the street.
Oh,
and that story just has stuck with me for
that would
30
cost
years.
A lot.
Yeah. And then who's responsible? Is that's a civil suit? The insurance would cover it, but they'd go after you. And that sort of gets into the whole concept of what happens on an e-bike when someone drives into you. People have that question. And I didn't think of this, but I read an article yesterday that your house insurance or tenant's insurance could cover you in the event, or your automobile insurance could cover you if you're on a bicycle and get injured. So you should look into those things. It's important.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that either. Now, there are probably going to be limitations. Like, for instance, I don't know if you're on an e-bike or kick scooter that exceeds the limits and is not considered an e-bike or kick scooter under law anymore. Now you're on a motor vehicle that is uninsured because your home insurance is not going to cover you if you're driving or riding something that is illegal. What do we have here? We have issues with current standards. Michael is upset with standards. What is this? Oh, it's an interesting question. On a highway bridge with construction work down to one lane and EMTs need to pass, what to do? One lane in either direction?
Well, just one lane.
Or just one lane. One lane period where it's one direction. Well, if it's one lane in either direction, you clear the road that you're in. So you can't run the light, but you got to be reasonable. So recently I was in...
Were you thinking about a bridge with a light?
Right.
But it just says construction work. But nowhere to go.
But I've seen construction work where it's a light controlled. I've seen it where it's flag people controlled. But I'll give you an example. Recently, I was by Canada's Wonderland, and an ambulance was sitting with its lights on, no noise. And I'm like, well, this could be a situation where they forgot to turn off the lights. So I open the window and I'm like, hey, your lights are on. They go, We know. We're waiting to go. And they're doing it exactly right. See, I always get the question of what do I do when I'm in a signalized intersection at a red and the ambulance needs to go? I said they would wait. They would know better. They wouldn't try and push you into an intersection because you actually have no way of going legally out of their way. And they were on the ball and doing exactly what I said they should do, which is wait. And then as soon as it went green, lights went on, everyone pulled out of the way legally and safely, and we were, moving on.
They won't make you do something that is dangerous to you. We
That's
expect you to do certain things. We expect you to pull over when it's safe to do so. Pull over to the nearest road if it's a one-way road. But we won't force you to do something that's unlawful or unsafe.
That's it. The whole goal is to do things safely, and we're responsible for everything we do. So if we pull out and do something unsafely, we're going to be eating it. It's not a good thing for us. We don't want to create unsafe situations.
So normally we know much in advance. We have fantastic eye lead looking up ahead and saying, "Oh my goodness, this intersection is blocked. I'm going to go around it. I'm going to go into the oncoming lanes. I'm going to go into the lane that has the least resistance and to get through."
But both of these, can I drill new holes in my plate to mount it on my special bumper? Drill new holes. You're not allowed to deface or modify your plate. In fact, I think that new holes would be covered in the deface. I wouldn't risk it. I'd be curious to know more about your special bumper. It has to be at the front of the vehicle. It has to be in a conspicuous location. It has to be obvious and easy to read.
Unless your special bumpers come from Europe, where they have different configurations for license plate, there's a standard size for license plates in North America.
Mm-hmm.
So your bumper should conform to that. So you shouldn't have to drill a special.
And if your special, what kind of special bumper? I want to know more about your bumper now. Do you have pictures? Let us know. There were a couple of good questions that I really wanted to address, and then things started sliding here. Can a 14-year-old drive an e-bike in Ontario? No. You must be 16 years old to operate an e-bike. And the question is, can you be a passenger at 14? And I see no way that anyone can be on an e-bike that is under the age of 16. From everything that I can see, you have to be 16, period. It doesn't say passengers can be 14, but an operator or a rider for sure has to be 16. There was at one time, or there's something for 14. I think there's an exemption for e-kick scooters that's lower, but we'll have to look it up. But e-bike, no. Okay. Thoughts on half helmets that Harley riders usually wear. I like half helmets. They're comfortable. They're legal. I like them. Are they as safe as a full face helmet? No. I've gone in the mix of it. I wear a 3/4 when I was with the police. When I was a motorcycle operator as an auxiliary, I had a 3/4. When I became a motor squad officer, we had already transitioned to a 3/4 where we had a flip down chin guard, so it was a full face when it was in the closed mode. I think it's called, what is it called? It's called a
convertible modular.
There you go. But I really hate having it closed. I don't. It pinches my cheeks. I got cheeks and they get pinched, so I don't like it.
So I was out riding this weekend, and right now I only have an open face helmet, but it is a 3/4 and covers all the way down. You know what? I have a half helmet. I use it only within my my neighbor's side-by-side ATV that has seat belts and a roll cage. It's legal, and it covers my head for where the risk is going to be on my head within inside a roll caged, fully enclosed vehicle. I wouldn't wear that on the road. Not at all.
No?
Nope. I wouldn't wear a half helmet on the road.
Good to know.
I want to keep this thing
in good condition.
There's not much in there, so I want to keep what's in there functioning.
I will say this: in my collision, when I went, for a short flight, bumpy landing, I didn't think I hit my head. I looked at my helmet recently, and I saw scrapes to the back of the helmet, actually below the line that my half helmet would have been, because the half helmet stops here, and the scrapes were down neckline. So that would have been areas where I could have put more pressure on my neck. It could have changed the outcome of my collision. Grinch says, "Good morning. Just read an article in the Star about the scooters and TO, and they quoted you as well. And I'm like, I know who that officer is." Yes. and depending on the article, if it was a Star, one of them got it really right, and the other one, because CTV also did it, and they misquoted a section. But it was really, for the most part, a really good representation of what was said on TikTok.
And you had to let them know
I did.
But they did kind of make a mistake on it.
It was an oopsie-doo. But I did update them, so they've written back and said, thanks for the update. So I imagine those will be revised and they will properly cover it. But you know what? I'm just glad that we're talking about it. The fact that there's so many people who don't realize what the rules are, it's really what we do here every single day. Try and make sure that everybody knows what's up. Okay, if I'm on a red left turn and an ambulance is behind me, I don't have to move. Okay, this is the question. So what we were just saying this a few minutes ago. If you missed it, if you're at a red light, you have no legal authority, regardless of lights or sirens behind you, to go through that red light. Just because we need to go doesn't mean you have the ability to go. Now, you can make a right turn on red if it's legal and safe to do so, but otherwise you're stuck where you are. And we should know better than to try and get you to do something that's unsafe. If we're planning ahead, we're going to go into oncoming traffic and just clear the intersection. But sometimes the call comes in and we're on the wrong side of a divider, so we can't do it. And we have to wait. And that's just the way it is. So no, you cannot go through. You cannot. If a police officer is in the intersection directing if different situation. If it was a two-person car and one wants to get out of the car and direct traffic, they have that ability to then direct you. But beyond that, you're stuck.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
All right. I have to run.
Okay.
I have a meeting in 10 minutes.
Oh, and you have meeting prep. Well, thank you for dropping by. Right. It is always nice to have in the show.
Thank you very much. And we'll chat with you. I think I'll be back tomorrow as well.
Okie dokie.
Right.
And I will turn off the microphone and slide back into center. Before we get on to the next question here, I want to just address a question from Jason Nathanson. City traffic agents, special constables, don't seem to do any enforcement. Pedestrian ignoring the direction just keeps walking. No attempt to even issue a ticket. Why are they special constables if they do not do enforcement? That's the best question, and I've never had that question before, so thank you. I really appreciate it. The answer is they are special constables so that they have the authority to direct traffic. You actually have to be a special constable to stop a car, but they don't have any enforcement authority. They cannot issue tickets. They don't have that authority yet. Maybe one day they will. But here's the deal. If they stopped directing traffic for the purposes of enforcing, no one would be directing traffic anymore, and they wouldn't be functioning at their highest and best or intended use. But I love the question. I really do. Thank you. What's the real law on passing snow plows? Is it 80? What is this? What's the real law on passing snow plows? Is it 80 when safe to do so or no? So there's no law currently on the books that says you cannot specifically pass a snow plow. They are bringing one in, or they proposed one that will suggest that at certain speeds, in certain conditions, if there's a full lane to pass, it'll be permitted, but otherwise you will be charged. And I think it's like $1,000 fine. I think it's, if I read it correctly, and it's a couple weeks ago because I was talking about it on the radio. What is the real deal? It is unsafe and it may be careless driving to pass a snowplow. They are doing the work to clear the road. Be patient. Be patient is the best advice I can give you. So we don't want anyone doing it because it's unsafe. But I understand just how infuriating it is. I've been stopped to a complete stop on the highway, and for no reason, just snowplows full width of the highway. And what are they doing? They're waiting for intersecting highway trucks to come in. Are they doing it legally? Is that permissible? I don't think it was appropriate, but yeah, I was frustrated. Would I try and pass them on the shoulder to squeeze through? No, it would be incredibly unsafe. But yeah, what they were doing is waiting to get timing because they had all sorts of, it was the 401, 404 juncture, and they were coming off the DVP, and the DVP came to a zero halt. And then these other trucks, and eventually they had like 5 or 6, whatever the full width of the 404 was. What is this? Talked about that. Ooh. Can we send in dash cam footage of people illegally driving for them to get a ticket? The answer is you can make a complaint in Toronto. I don't know about other jurisdictions. You can certainly make a complaint in Toronto online. There is no avenue to upload video, but you could put it on Dropbox and send us a link. We could check it out. Will it result in a charge? Maybe. We need to know a number of things. We need to be able to identify the driver, identify the vehicle, time, date, location. If all those things are possible and you're the complainant, you created that video, that's potentially we could lay a charge. Will it guarantee it? No. Because the officer has to be able to after reviewing everything, determine that an offense has taken place and be able to satisfy all the needs. And you'd have to testify in court because you were the person who created that video. But you can do that. Whereas tps.ca, you can report online for a bunch of different things. Oh, license plates covers. What's the deal with green, purple, and black license plate covers? Can I have one on? License plate covers are absolutely and without question not legal. You cannot have it. Okay. And that includes license plate frames. So you've got covers, you've got frames. If you are covering any portion of a license plate, it is against the law. $110 fine. Well, why? Don't people just want to protect their license plates? Isn't it reasonable or legitimate? We get why you want to do it, but some people want to obscure, obstruct, and make their plates unreadable. Some clear plates are even clear to the naked eye, but they're polarized and prevent cameras from reading them. They're not legal. Don't use them. And I think you're going to see far more enforcement because we've never really cracked down on them. And I say that we haven't cracked down on them because clear ones are like, well, as long as we can see the plate. But going forward, because we're using automatic license plate readers, because cameras and photo radar and red light enforcement that are automated use cameras, those could be used to prevent us from properly doing it. I think someone told me recently that last year, 80,000 tickets were spoiled because they couldn't read the plate because of license plate covers. That's a motivation for the city to change how they go about doing it. Now, that we have nothing to do with that program. It's the city of Toronto that employs it. But 80,000 tickets is a severe, boo-boo, oopsie-doo. Not okay. So I expect that you're going to see far more enforcement on that. It's certainly the new expired license plate sticker, because it used to be we'd drive up behind someone and we'd read their license plate sticker. Well, first of all, if you had a cover, you got pulled over because I couldn't see your license plate sticker. But now you have no license plate sticker, and if I can't read the plate easily, you're getting pulled over. So I will pull, if I'm on the road, every one of those license plate covers that I see. That's just what it is. And we only have 5 minutes to go. We're coming very quickly to the end of this showbiz. We talked about that. Oh. In school zones that are 50 kilometers an hour, do we do that speed during school hours or still do 40? You do the posted limit. You cannot, I don't know, really understand your question. In school zones, some are 50. Do we do that speed or during school hours? You do the speed that's posted. You don't change. Some of them say 50 during certain hours, 40 during other hours. Whatever the sign says is what you need to do. Simple as that. What is this? The new e-bike test program that TO is not, what is this? New e-bike test program that TO is not taking. How do you think this will impact you? I don't know what that is. The Grinch, I want to know more. Hang on. I'm going to Google it right now. E-bike test program. What a cool idea if that's what I think it is. E-bike testing. What is this? Okay, somebody give me a link for that. I want to check it out. Yeah. Already cut. That was an oopsie-doo. Okay, scrolling through, I want to see if I missed anything, if there's anything else we want to talk about. In the meantime, I'm going to read you this. So, April 18th dad joke calendar says, you won't believe the word that's always spelled wrong. In dictionaries, it's wrong. Am I missing it? You won't believe the word that's always spelled wrong. Wrong is spelled wrong, but it's not incorrect. It took me a couple of seconds to get that. Did you get that? It was lost on me. Nor do I think it was funny. But oh well. Yeah. Grinch is going to put it in Discord. Thanks very much. Which reminds me, we have a Discord server, although I must admit that I've not yet really jumped onto it and started spending time there. I'm doing my best. Where is it? Here, let me jump into Discord. Not Discord. Traffic Cop. That's what I want to show you. Because to get to the Discord server, you need to go to Ask a Traffic Cop or traffic. It's not called Ask a Traffic. It's called Traffic Cop. All right. Let me turn off some graphics so I can show you the whole screen. And here we go. There it is. I need to turn off the graphics. Here we go. All right. So yeah, there's lots of stuff here. And one of those, why is it that size? I guess it's the, no, we're not going to mess around with it. I could change the size, but it's that's for another day. All right. So all links to all sorts of stuff. I'm specific. What am I looking for? I'm looking for, what am I looking for? Oh, Discord. Somewhere there's a link. Really? Discord. Hey, there it is. Join the traffic services Discord server. Got totally discombobulated. But that's the link. You hit that, and it'll bring you to our group. I started looking down because lately I've been showing off all of the important links. Like, hey, did you know that as a pedestrian or cyclist, you can start a collision report here, and then you can come to traffic services in the building that I'm in, or any of the other any of the other. There's only 2 other collision reporting centers, but this one at 9 Hannah down in our lobby is only for pedestrians and cyclists. Motor vehicles can't come here, but it saves pedestrians and cyclists the long drive to Scarborough or to Weston Road and Finch. So that's one thing. But here's useful links. And I love these. So renew your license plate. You get the link by going to trafficcop.ca. Driver's license check. Ever going to lend someone a vehicle? Make sure they're licensed, because showing you a card doesn't mean it's valid. And if they get pulled over, you can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act for allowing someone who is unlicensed to operate a motor vehicle. Not something you want to do. New residents, that's the link I mentioned earlier. And if you're buying a car, you can check to make sure it's on the CPIC, the police list of stolen vehicles. Things you need to know. And we have Akela who says, what does he say? He says, don't have a good day, have a great day. And it's great advice, because we want you to have a fantastic day. And of course, we're going to be back here tomorrow from 10 to 11 doing it all over again. Yeah, it's good stuff. Chase had to take off to mount flags. That's cool. Randy, this is a great conversation. Is entrapment a crime? If so, why do unmarked cars doing traffic stops? You need to know what entrapment is. You need to know that speeding or speed enforcement isn't entrapment. So what is entrapment? So it's alleged in your question that if I'm hiding and I catch you breaking the law, that I've entrapped you. No, I have caught you doing something that you chose to do. But if I tell you, hey, buddy, your car looks fast, let's race. And you say, I'm not really a racer. I don't want to race. Come on, you and me, we're going to race. And then I get you for speeding, and I give you a ticket for speeding, or I arrest you for breaking the law. But I've created the scenario that you on your own had no intention of doing. That's entrapment. If I tell you, hey, listen, take these guns and go sell them, and then I go and arrest you for being an arms dealer, I've created the environment where you did something you weren't going to do. But I've created, you know what I'm saying? That's entrapment. Catching you breaking the law because you're breaking the law, no, that's not entrapment. But it's a good try. What do we have here? I have one more that popped up here. There was a question about e-bikes, I think. Can an electric scooter driver get a ticket? Oh, yeah. An e-kick scooter or an e-bike or an electric, looks like a moped, if it's a vehicle on the road, and e-bikes and electric scooters are vehicles on the road, they're treated as bicycles, but bicycles can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act. I get so excited about writing tickets. I miss writing tickets because it makes the roads safer. I know so many people don't agree with me, but guess what? I don't care. It makes it safer. It does. Whether people agree with me or not, ticketing drivers for breaking the law reminds them that next time they shouldn't break the law. Now, the deal is that if you run a red light, same charge. Now, you can't get charged for using your cell phone, because that applies only to motorists, only people in motor vehicles. And if your electric scooter qualifies as an e-kick scooter or electric kick scooter under the provincial pilot, then you're disqualified, or it's exempt from being considered a motor vehicle as long as it conforms. So if it does under 24 kilometers an hour, if there's no passengers, no cargo, no what else? Less than a 500 watt or less or smaller motor. Well, then it's not considered a motor vehicle. But if you had one that was capable of going 30 kilometers an hour, it is a motor vehicle, and you can't use your cell phone. So the rules are different depending on what you're on. But absolutely, you can be charged for breaking the law, get held responsible. So you can't do a lot of things. Yeah. Okay. It has been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you. I have got to go because I have stuff and things that need to get done, but I will be back, and it'll be tomorrow at 10 a.m. when I'm here. So you should be here too. Be safe. Park legally. Don't drive while impaired. What else can we say? Don't ride unsafe scooters. I'm going to be posting a video when I get off the show right now, and it's talking about e-kick scooters because it seems to be the topic of the week. I think it's part of a larger video. Well, I won't check it out on TikTok. We'll be posting it there momentarily. I will miss you until tomorrow, but I will be leaving now. And to my wife, Leah, who says, "Have a safe day, everybody." Yeah. Oh. Best name today. Stop looking at my name. Wants to know about e-bike laws. I will talk. You know what? Tomorrow we'll do an e-bike thing again. We'll do like 20 minutes on e-bikes and stuff. So come back tomorrow. All right. Ciao for now.